proud of you, girls.
Are you listening to me? Okay. Good afternoon to you all. Good afternoon, girls.
Good afternoon.
I think you need to speak
Are we
closer.
on? Yes.
They are hearing? I think they are hearing. No, not
No.
hearing?
Closer.
Closer, like that. Okay, okay, closer. He told us to do that back there. We forgot. So, girls, very nice to be with you here. Very inspiring woman. We were talking back there about our what brought us here, actually, and it's very nice to talk to you. And I want to start asking you about the area that you work. I think it's important because the venture business is very hard, very rush, and I want to know, how do you see this, how do you analyze this scenario of the venture capital market from the perspective of gender equality? And is it more egalitarian, or is there still a long way to go? How do you see?
Sure. So I'll start. Thanks so much for having us here. Can you hear me in the back? Yes? Okay. So I think to frame the conversation, so I'm a venture capitalist. I invest in Latin America, early stage startups, and I love investing in women founders. And many times I will be speaking with some of my male investor friends, and they will say, you know, I don't have bias. I invest in men and women equally. I just choose the best company, right? And that's a perfectly valid thing to say, right? And I say, that is fantastic, but what you have to understand is that the problems in the industry start much before then. Venture capital is an industry that's based on your network. The deals that an investor is seeing are based on the people that investor knows, ultimately. And so that network is the basis for the lack of diversity in the industry. So the lack of diversity within the firms is the beginning of the problem. So I always think it's important to frame what we're talking about, because this is not so much an issue of an individual investor being biased, although we all have unconscious bias, but it's about diversifying the industry at large. Because, of course, all the studies are showing that greater diversity leads to greater innovation, which is why we're doing this. You wanna?
Thank you. Thank you for calling me to be here. It's such a huge pleasure. I absolutely agree with everything you said, Claire, and I would like to add on to that. I will go a little bit further. I think that we have a really big systemic problem here. Women only receive 2% of global venture capital dollars. And when you look at Latin America, it's even less than that. And why is that? I think that, and that's a really personal theory, I put it together in the last few years investing in women as we do. I think that we only see 20% of women in Brazil in STEM careers. So only 20% is a really low number. And from that, you only see around 12% of women entrepreneurs in technology. So that's why when an investor looks at his pool, he already sees a really reduced number of women there. In addition to that, we only get 8% of women as investors globally. Only 8% of women are decision makers in investment funds. So in that sense, when a woman entrepreneur fundraises and she's trying to raise money for her company, she will talk out of 100 meetings, she will talk to 92 men with lots of unconscious bias and a lot of biased questions and a lot of biased opinions, and only 8 women. So I think that's something important and systemic that we need to combat. We need to inspire women to be in STEM careers and to believe that they can be there, they can be on the investment decisions, and they have a place to be there. That's the real way we're going to be able to turn this around.
And Claire was talking back there about the search for those girls, those women that are entrepreneurs, and they don't seem to have I don't know, men don't seem to be very attractive to those type of women to invest on them. and women has these eyes to other women's. How important it is to look for other women's that are working and trying to achieve the places that you are now. You're talking here to lots of people and talking about your profession, not just as a woman, as a specialist on what you do every day. So how important is this?
Well, I think I'll start by just saying, you know, we have many studies now that show that diversity is important for innovation, right? And that's diversity of gender, diversity of race, ethnicity, background. And a reason for that, I like to explain, is imagine you were stuck inside one of those escape rooms, okay? And you have 30 minutes to get out, and you are in that escape room with 9 other people. I am a white woman from California who went to Stanford. I do not want to be in that escape room with 9 other people who look and think exactly like me, because we are not likely to come up with the best way to get out of that room. And so that's why we want diversity. And obviously that is a simplistic example, but many, many studies show that this is why diversity leads to innovation. It's the friction of different ideas. So we see this in venture capital, you see this in business, and this is why we have all this data showing that diverse teams perform better. So that's sort of the why, I think, before we kind of jump in.
Yeah, definitely, I absolutely agree. We all see diversity as the main motor here for innovation, and it will unlock this multiplicity of points of view, will definitely make for better products and a better product market fit, and therefore better startups. So I absolutely agree that diversity should be the essence into every decision here. But we were talking about inspiring women to be here. I think that we should definitely do it by example. Melinda Gates even mentions one of these examples in her book, I think, that UN Women mapped around the globe that schools that had women teachers in math or STEM subjects had a higher rate of girls graduating and going into STEM careers. So I think that the best way to inspire girls to be here, young women to be here, is to be the example and show them that it is possible.
And I want to know about your opinion about, we see some comments, some prejudiced comments about women, how women are driven by emotions, and this business world's very fierce and needs to be with strong people, and women are not so strong, they're driven by emotions. How do you feel about that? Because that's a placement that some people put, even women put us on that placement. How do you feel about that?
I mean, I think prejudice and those types of comments are always going to happen in this world. You know, we are humans and we are scared of people who sometimes look different than us, and so we come up with these judgy, mean things to say. What I say in response is often, you know, I turn to statistics and I say, well, women-founded startups are exiting at higher valuations, they're exiting quicker, and they're exiting in less time. They're better capitalized as a result.
I can't hear you. I can't hear you.
Can you hear me? I guess not. Okay. So I often respond with statistics. However, I found that that is usually not effective, because as most of the diversity statistics have shown over the last 10 and 20 years, people don't really care that much about statistics. So I actually think you have to respond with stories and personal experience. And I think one of the best examples of this is the idea that in the world of venture capital, if you want an investor to invest more in a woman, he will do so if he has a daughter. So you have these personal experiences, and that's what changes things. So I like to get investors to have personal experiences in different cultures and with different folks, because that's what's going to make the difference.
What are your thoughts about that?
Oh yeah, that speaks to the core of what we do in We Ventures. We definitely surround ourselves with a very diverse team of investors, and that's the main way we're connecting everything we spoke about here. That's the main way we will have a better product market fit, and we will have all their points of view to develop a best product, really. So absolutely, surrounding yourselves with a diverse group of investors, of advisors, of officers. The more diverse, I was speaking about this today. I think that in my previous career, investment banking, I used to hire a lot by similarity. I used to hire people like me coming from the same school.
We call it in
same
venture
background.
capital pattern matching. It's very, very common where you match one pattern to another.
Exactly. I used to do that all the time. And in venture capital, I'm learning about the deep importance of doing the exact opposite, hiring and investing and surrounding yourself with complementary characteristics rather than more of the same.
Now I want to talk to you guys. Who here is a mother? Stand up. Stand up? No. Stand your hands. I think you will understand the next question because we have two mothers here too. And I know that not only in Brazil, but in Argentina, where Claire lives, women are overloaded on very things to do, a lot of things to do. The word came out of my mind, but very much things to do, like take care of the kids and take care of their jobs and their houses and have all those responsibilities. I think women who are mothers here understand that, and you too. I would like you to talk about that and how we can change that, because it's not that only up to the girls to change that and let's conquer the world. No, we need some help to do that, and the society has a responsibility on that. How do you feel?
I think one way we can do it is with venture-backed startups. I recently was looking at this incredible family planning application for mothers and fathers, and I said, oh my gosh, how did this not exist 5 years ago? I want to invest in this. And the founder was explaining, well, 5 years ago, not many investors thought this mattered, which is really interesting. And if you look at the history of women's health in venture capital, you see that, right? So fewer people thought that women's health was going to be a big market 10 years ago because there were just fewer investors who cared a lot about that. So I think in terms of how we approach motherhood and career, I'm hopeful that some of the cool innovations will come from venture-backed startups. But
Definitely, you're absolutely right. I've seen some really nice ones founded by women, actually. But yeah, I think that about kids and the career, I think we need to be really vocal about, I feel like that's my mission currently, to be really vocal about what we go through, because at least in finance, we used to go through all that in silence and nobody knew, and it was frowned upon if you even mentioned that you had to run real quick to go to your kid's school or something like that. So I think part of our mission here is to be really vocal about our challenges so that when everybody is aware of our challenges, more people will mobilize to start and create change. I think we need to be vocal, and we need to work on advocacy and need to work on better laws and better benefits in companies. We can start in our own houses, sharing better our duties, and then growing onto that to our companies and to our governments. I think that it's essential, because if women don't speak up about what we go through as mothers, as working mothers, nobody else will. Men won't. So we really, really need to do that.
We need to make the subject matters to the society, as everybody should know that women are not only to do that. If you're not, I hear about this when we talk about women in jobs, in high cargos, lectures.
In positions.
Positions. Muito obrigada. In high positions professionally, and they hear, oh, if you're going back to work, you're a bad mother. If you're not working, you're a bad woman. And if you're not handle the house, you're better. You're a bad girl. If you don't, if you have a nanny, you're a bad mother. How to deal with that?
I just heard today a sad story. I'm in many women investor groups, and I heard for the millionth time today that a friend of mine, a really close friend of mine, who is also in finance, is returning from her maternity leave, and she will be terminated next month. And it's literally the millionth time we hear about that. So that's what I'm talking about. We need to mobilize and talk to those companies and change policy. We cannot do this in silence. And she told us in confidence, like, please don't tell our employers and da-da-da. We need to do the opposite. We need to make this public, I think.
I think I will say from the perspective of some of the positive changes that we've seen in the next decade, I think at least in Silicon Valley, in terms of parental leave, we've seen some changes.
Absolutely, yes.
The United States, I am from the United States. I have lived in Argentina for 15 years, though. The United States has never been very good at parental leave in general. Many more countries in the world are significantly better, but one of the things that's really shifted is that now versus 10 years ago, particularly in California and some of the larger states in the United States, parental leave for women and for men now is significantly more widespread, and I'm very happy about that. I have many male friends now who take leave, and that is accepted and become normalized.
I think being accepted is key. Being accepted is key, because here we're a few steps behind you. So in Brazil, some places do implement the parental leave, but guys are afraid to take it.
Right. That's what I remember from about 10 years ago up in California. So it's interesting to notice and to celebrate those changes, because there is a lot of good stuff happening, and more good stuff to come in the future.
And talking about the girls coming to the future, I would like to ask you to end up our conversation, because our time is getting in the end. How do we motivate girls as societies to give them the empowered, to feel empowered enough to explore new possibilities as you did?
I think, Michelle Obama is the one who says you can't be what you can't see, right? And that is probably the best thing you can say to any kid. It's the best thing you can say to any adult also, right? All of us want to be something we maybe are not yet. And as soon as we see someone else go before us, then we realize, hey, there's a path.
Absolutely. It's what everything we spoke about here, right? Inspiring, showing them that it's possible, leading the way, being vocal about it, and trying to, bring about real, concrete change and make a better environment for them. When they're here, definitely they'll be in a better place than we are.
And that has happened. I mean, again, it's, 10 years ago, there were less of these talks at conferences like this. I know, because I was talking at them 10 years ago,
Last year.
And so it's great to see that the conversations are changing, and I look forward to ways they will change in the future in ways we can't even imagine.
Well, our time is now up. Girls, it was a pleasure to talk to you. It was a pleasure to be here with you guys. I was a little bit nervous, but you're so great.
Yeah, you're on TV
amazing.
every day, but it's always in Portuguese, right?
Yeah, in English it's very hard.
It felt just like a chat. We could easily have some food here and just,
we should have a wine
chat.
here.
Wine is a great idea.
It was so funny because Marcelly was saying beforehand she was nervous, and I said, but you're on TV every day with Globo. And
we
she was
should
like,
be nervous,
yes,
not you.
But with the TV, I'm just looking at just the camera. I'm not looking at all these people. So I thought that was funny.
Yeah, you understood. But it was a great conversation.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having us.
Thank you guys very much. Bye-bye.